And we continue at 2:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wangs in Culver City.
John, what does it say about our audience that in the last 5 minutes we've had several people call in and email us, all because they know exactly why the homeless are lighting copper on fire?
Well, what's the answer?
So they can clean it, so they can sell it, because they got to melt off that insulation.
Okay, then why do they light our houses on fire?
Good question.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. It is our pleasure to welcome our next guest to the program. You can read her column online at AnnCoulter.com. You can subscribe to her Substack, where she puts up videos and other content for you as well. That's also on her website at AnnCoulter.com. You can follow her on X at Ann Coulter. And, of course, you can buy any of her New York Times best-selling books at Amazon.com. Ann Coulter, welcome.
Good to be here, John Phillips.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by. Now, let's start out with a clip I saw on social media earlier today. It involved the numbers cruncher over at CNN, where they talked about the three subjects that Donald Trump has a huge lead over the Democrats on. One of them was the economy, which was a more narrow lead than the other two, but still put him ahead of the Democrats. Number two was immigration, which had him ahead of the Democrats by double digits. I think it was something like 14 or 15 points, a huge advantage for him. And then the third one is crime. And that one was even bigger than immigration, but you could make an argument that you can connect 2 and 3 together, and it's really part of the same pod. And as that was being discussed on CNN, I saw in the New York Times today there was an op-ed piece written by Josh Barrow who said that even if Democrats think that Trump is vulnerable on immigration, he's not. Voters still prefer Republicans over Democrats on the issue by a wide margin. And he said, if offered a choice between too harsh or too soft, they'll pick harsh every single time. It seems like this issue and crime are Trump's ace in the hole, and nothing has changed in a long time on that.
No, that's absolutely right. And I know some idiots get sick of me saying this, but if only he hadn't hired Jared Kushner and had kept his promises term one. I mean, immigration has always been an absolute runaway winner for Republicans. Ditto with crime. Republicans won on crime for 50 years. And then, unfortunately, we Republicans won so many elections, they cleaned crime up. And it wasn't a problem anymore. But for some reason, the divide between what the public wants on immigration and what the elites want, there is no issue on which there is such a gigantic divide. So, as we know, Jared was against building the wall, assured rich New Yorkers, oh, don't worry, there's not going to be a wall, and pushed the First Step Act to release convicted criminals, which Trump bragged about during the debate. So just keep your fingers crossed that that without Jared there and with Stephen Miller having a little more pull, Trump will stick to it. It's the most easy formula in the world. Run on popular issues.
What do you think about the fact that, of course, people like you were the first one to really start ringing the bell on this one, but other people on our side, thankfully, seem to understand this now. But now it looks like even those on the left are realizing it's a problem for their party and their candidates, where CNN and the op-ed page at the New York Times seem to be coming on to the obvious fact that immigration is a huge problem for the Democrats. Do you think there's any chance that all the Democrats are going to change their tune on immigration, or do you think they're so in with racial identity politics that they can't?
I think they can't, though. That's an important point you're making. I mean, that is, I'm almost a little bit surprised that they did run the op-ed by Josh Barrow making this point in the New York Times. But I don't know. I sort of feel like it's like the transgender issue. They have a base that is absolutely for open borders. They are absolutely for replacing traditional Americans with anyone who isn't a traditional American. If there's no possibility your ancestors were here in 1700, 1800, then the left thinks you are better than someone whose ancestors were here in 1800. It is just deep feeling of theirs.
Gavin Newsom is doing everything he can right now to make national news. He knows he's going to be termed out of office in 2 years, and then he's going to be irrelevant. So he's trying everything he can right now to create as much noise as possible. Most recently, he just signed legislation that prohibits ICE officials from wearing masks in the state of California. As someone who studied constitutional law, there's 0% chance this is legal, correct?
Well, that's correct, but there's also 0% chance it's anything other than outrageously hypocritical. I mean, remember how he went after Californians, including John MacArthur's church. He kept fining and threatening to imprison him because it was only in July. I mean, once the evidence was really, really, really in, and masks do nothing for COVID, and social distancing, nothing for COVID. Kids can go back to school. There were no vaccines yet. But anyway, John MacArthur, is well known in California, I imagine, opened his church, and Gavin Newsom, governor, absolute authoritarian in trying to shut it down. And same with restaurants and people walking their dogs on the beach. You have to wear a mask. It's just comical that now he wants to say, but federal agents of the federal government enforcing the law passed by Democrats and Republicans over decades of banging out compromises signed into law by Democratic and Republican presidents. They're enforcing those laws, and Gavin Newsom thinks he can say, we're going to tell you how you can dress.
Well, I was just thinking about this. Let's just say that in Sacramento, these idiots decide, all right, here's the deal. We have a lot of military bases in California. Let's pass a law saying that the military can't bring their tanks or their jets here because the emission standards don't meet what Sacramento wants. You can't do that. You can't just say, well, because we don't like the emissions that are coming out of the tanks or the jets, we're not going to allow them here. That's not how it works in a federalist system.
No, I don't think so. I mean, no. And the one time liberals remembered the supremacy clause, well, they remember it when the federal government is trying to do horrible things to the state. But it's just such an extreme example. When Arizona passed SB 10, written by Chris Kobach, merely enforcing federal laws on immigration that Obama was refusing to enforce. Democrats were all over media saying, supremacy, sorry, you lose, Arizona, you lose. If the president doesn't want to enforce the law, no, Arizona, you can't enforce the law. They didn't fully win before the Supreme Court, but the Papers, Please law definitely passed. That they could do. But yeah, okay, that's pretty extreme. Same thing with sending Elian Gonzalez back to Cuba. He had lost. Liberals, you probably don't remember this, but the line was, we'll just let the Florida courts decide. We'll let the Florida courts decide. This was a little Cuban boy who had escaped with his mother and father, not married to the mother. Mother drowned. Little boy made it. He was 9 years old. Cuban community in Miami embrace him. They want to keep him here. But Democratic Party wanted to send the 9-year-old back to a communist dictatorship because they're Democrats. And for a long time, Democrats were saying, we're just going to let the courts decide, Florida courts. This is just a family law issue. Well, in fact, under family law, if you're only the sperm donor and not married to the mother, you don't have as many rights. The father back in Cuba lost. Also, he was obviously under the influence of Castro at the time. And then after all that, we're going to let the courts decide, defer to the courts. When they lose, Democrats just said, the president has control over immigration under the Constitution. It has to do with dealing with foreign countries. So he can do whatever he wants. Elian's going back. So, yeah, it's pretty extreme. how much control the federal government has over anything having to do with foreign affairs, war, its own troops, and definitely immigration.
What do you make of Newsom trying to stake out the left-wing position on immigration as we get closer to the Democratic primaries? I'll tell you what it tells me. He thinks that the base of the Democratic Party right now, it's not black voters, religious black voters, like the ones that we've seen dominate the primaries in places like South Carolina in the past. It's not farmers in Iowa. He thinks that the Karens are the base of the Democratic Party, and I think he is tailoring his entire campaign to appeal to the Karens.
Well, the Karens and the immigrant socialists, like we have in New York with Mondami and AOC, you got Ilhan Omar. This is an all-new breed of Democrats that's coming up now. And it's not only heavily immigrants, but heavily, quote, socialist, although Dorhan Mondami, the one who likely to be the next mayor of New York, yay. I mean, he says our goal is to seize the means of production. I'm not joking. He actually says that. I mean, what do you have to do to be called a communist?
Well, and what does that say about the modern Democratic Party where they're all going out and endorsing him? Where Kamala Harris did it on Rachel Maddow last night. Many of them have fallen into place. I guess Hakeem Jeffries is still holding out at this point, and maybe a couple of others. But they're perfectly comfortable with someone who, as you said correctly, wants the government to own the means of production.
Mm-hmm. I guess they're coming face to face with their future. I tend to think. I mean, you have the old Democrats who knew how to win elections. You have these very, very far left, heavily immigrant Democratic Party and very young ones coming up. And they're not wildly popular. I mean, I guess the Democratic Party is just counting on the older white people to die out. And that's going to be our new country. So, I don't know, just be glad you don't have kids, John Phillips.
How is it that the financial houses who are centered in New York City, Wall Street is there, how can they let that happen? And I've told the story on the air before, but we came close here in California to doing the same thing when Upton Sinclair, the guy that wrote the book The Jungle, ran for governor on the platform of the government owning the means of production. He wanted the state of California to own the farms, the factories, film production, all of that. And it was Louis B. Mayer of MGM. It was William Randolph Hearst. It was the Chandler family that owned the L.A. Times that literally all got together and said, we can't let this happen because he will wreck the state. And they just kneecapped the guy and took him out. And they beat him with a really bad candidate, but they did all the heavy lifting. Where the hell are those financial people in New York? It seems like they're just sitting by and letting it happen.
No, I'm wondering the same thing. I mean, I assume they're all married to Karens, so that might be holding them back a little bit. A lot of the ones who were fed up with ridiculous Cuomo, and they were absolutely ridiculous, I think probably worse than California, the COVID rules in New York, a lot of them have already left. They're already in Texas and Florida. So the ones we're left with are the ones who didn't move during COVID. That's part of it. The other part of it is they can't really get together. Some portion of them are for Cuomo. Some portion of them apparently are for Sliwa, which I think is nuts. And some portion of them, like myself, are for Eric Adams, the incumbent. And yeah, he was a little bit incompetent, but he wasn't deeply hated the way Cuomo is. I think one way or another, you have to get it down to a binary choice. The Muslim communist or, just random generic other candidate. I definitely think the incumbent Eric Adams has the best shot. He is not. There are so many different reasons to hate Andrew Cuomo. I just don't see him winning, but that's a big problem. They can't decide.
What's Curtis Sliwa's problem? Because sometimes these vanity races, I get it. You've been forgotten about for a while. You want to get your name in the paper. You want to get out there. You want to do something. That's fine when you're not costing anyone anything. But when your vanity project is going to result in the commies taking over, it's time for you to find a new hobby.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. I mean, this is This is the problem with people who can't see beyond their own rallies. And, wherever he goes, people will come up to him and, oh, I'm voting for Sliwa. No, we need a Republican. He's polling at like 3%. There's absolutely no chance. You are completely right. It's ridiculous. It's preposterous. Maybe he's holding out for that, Bermuda ambassadorship that has been alleged Trump will offer him. But it looks like Trump isn't going to bother offering anybody anything because things look very bad for New York right now.
What's crazy to me, you don't have to be Nostradamus to figure out what's going to happen next, because Chicago already did this. And that guy has, a 7% approval rating, and he wrecked the city?
No, well, I would say that's the worst thing Mondami could do. I think I don't know. Third, fourth reason, you don't have the smart guys in New York getting together and backing one candidate and forcing the other two to drop out. Is that there are some limits to what Mondami can do. It's the state legislature that sets taxes. There are a lot of things he is promising that he is not allowed to do under the law, although our city council is also completely crazy. The one thing he can do and he promises to do is to make crime even worse. And that, of course, is the biggest problem. You can't have anything without safety, as Giuliani and Bloomberg showed. It was amazing if you didn't experience the difference between New York pre-Giuliani and post, and for 20 years between Giuliani and Bloomberg. Just the restaurants that can open, the parks that are suddenly available. There's just fun and joy. And then the criminals come back, and everybody's just sitting at home hoping not to have their windows broken into.
Well, that's the most depressing part of this, because these big cities were destroyed during COVID. And I thought, okay, we're going to come out of COVID. We're going to come roaring back. There's going to be new Giulianis and Bloombergs and Reardons and everyone else. And everything is going to be fixed. And we're going to have all new restaurants. And we're going to have all new entertainment centers. And we're going to have all new fun things to play with. And instead of that happening, we get Karl Marx.
Yes. Yes, I really wish we could get there. There are some decent Democrats who have been prosecutors. I wanted that guy, who I forget his name, prosecuted Dinesh D'Souza, but also got rid of Sheldon Silver, who was a Democratic thorn in the side of Republican legislators in New York for a long, long time. And he just seemed to be, I don't know why he doesn't run for mayor. There are some decent Democrats who could run for mayor. I guess they consider it a thankless job.
Ann Coulter, you're the best. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Good to talk to you, John Phillips. Bye-bye.
And you can read Ann online at anncoulter.com. You can also subscribe to her Substack there. And don't forget to follow her on X at Ann Coulter. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com.
There's a feisty one in there.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, I'm not going to read it on the air.
Oh, boy.
I don't think I can. It says some words that I think I'd get in trouble for if I said them on the radio.
Okay.
Don't say it. All right. If you were to continue listening to us after we sign off at 3, that's easy to do.
All you got to do is search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's the Apple Podcasts app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes. You can do a Google on the YouTube. Get the KABC app. Get the KSFO app. There are so many different ways to listen live to these radio stations and download all of our podcasts. Or if you got Apple TV, Severance is really good.
And Randy, we're going to Universal City this Friday.
We did this last year, and we're doing it again. We're going to hang out with the Union Rescue Mission as they go over the edge for a cause. Is this Friday and Saturday at the Universal Hilton, where you can rappel down a 25-story building to help the homeless. You can raise funds to support Union Rescue Mission's work to help out people experiencing homelessness. Every dollar raised will be matched up to $500,000. So sign up if you want to go over the edge or support a participant. Donate to double your impact. Share with your friends, your family. If you want to participate in this event, go to urm.org/OTE, and we'll be down there doing a live broadcast from noon to 3.
Let's go to Cheryl in Lake County. Cheryl, hello.
Oh, hello. Well, I'm honored to be on again. Thank you. My thoughts that I had today is this morning I learned on a Sacramento-based radio show that if a person walks in New York City without glasses and a mask, that their whole life can be learned, from where you parked to where you went and where you live, facial recognition. But now I tied it together with, I believe, that with Newsom lobbying to see the ICE agent faces, that it's not just to know where you live, it's everything needed to destroy you, your family, associates. And if I could add that people can be hurt in many ways, and I put nothing past the left. They went to a lot of trouble and ongoing expense to get us here, and they can't stand the fact that the illegals are going home.
Well, that's exactly what Newsom wants, and we already saw a bit of that when you had the agitators show up at the hotels where ICE agents were staying. And during the rioting in downtown L.A., they showed up to the hotels where the National Guardsmen were staying. This is what they want. They want physical intimidation, and I don't think it goes unnoticed that it happened right after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, where the implicit threat is if you do what we don't want you to do, then there will be consequences for it, and those consequences could be pretty severe or they could be annoying, but you won't know until they happen. And that is completely out of bounds. But that's the sandbox that Newsom is playing in. He's totally outrageous on social media, and he's totally outrageous with what reckless legislation he's signing. He wants to let Democratic primary voters know that he hates Republicans more than anyone on planet Earth. That is his entire strategy. And that's fine if that's what you think will help you win the election. However, there are consequences to employing a strategy like that. And those consequences, if you start doxing people, have real-world results that could be catastrophic. And I don't think Newsom has thought it through to that level, and I don't think he cares. I think the only thing that worries him is losing that Democratic primary, and because of that, he is laser-focused on doing whatever it is that he thinks he needs to do to get there. Thank you for the call. All right. It's time to reopen the California Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And Randy, this edition takes us to Santa Monica.
What, did someone get their jacket stolen again?
Give me back my jacket!
No, what happened this time is a filmmaker came to his home in Santa Monica to find the place ransacked by squatters.
Well, we've done some blotter stories on squatters before, and some of them resulted in such disgusting descriptions, I don't even think I can dance around describing it.
I like the old lady who was outside of the squatter house in Hollywood that claimed they were doing snuff films in there.
That was an instant classic.
But let's find out what's going on in the People's Republic of Santa Monica. Here's KTLA.
At 5:30, thieves ransack a Santa Monica filmmaker's home while he was out of town for work. The thieves stole thousands in valuables and turned over...
See, this is what happens when all the production goes to Georgia.
The squatters move in.
Turned over every corner of the house. Good evening. This is the KTLA 5 News at 5:30. I'm Cher Calvin.
Then I'm Mike Olma. The victim says the break-in went far.
Guys, fade out the music. It's been 15 seconds.
Yeah, this isn't Coachella.
Then I'm Mike Olma. The victim says the break-in went far beyond a typical burglary. The thief sabotaged his property by cutting plumbing pipes and electrical wires.
Why?
So let's flood the place and make sure the owner returns in the dark.
We want to make your home feel like it's the Oakland DMV.
Even more disturbing, the homeowner's bedroom had been turned into a squatter's den, suggesting the thieves had been there for a while. KTLA's Sarah Welch is live in Santa Monica with more. Sarah.
Does insurance cover squatting?
If your bedroom was torn apart piece by piece, how could you tell that it was a squatter and not just a run-of-the-mill teenager?
Cher, hi, good evening. Yeah, a squatter's den for sure. The place is a mess, and the man who rents there is hoping Santa Monica police can figure out whoever did this, whoever stole some of his most prized possessions.
I noticed that this gate was unlocked, which it never is.
That was the first clue. Something was terribly wrong.
Immediately walked in and my house was trashed.
His Santa Monica home ransacked, belongings tossed and scattered throughout every room.
Booze, like knives in the bed.
Knives in the bed?
Okay, I don't want to gross anyone out, especially if you're eating a late lunch. What do you think that home smelled like?
You don't want to know, but I'm sure the ocean air made it worse.
That's what I'm thinking.
Booze, like knives in the bed.
Filmmaker Fidel Ruiz-Healy returned home from a week-and-a-half-long work trip to New York and discovered squatters invaded and burglarized his space.
There was still like fresh food and coffee and donuts from earlier that had.
So he doesn't have any neighbors that have his number to be like, hey, what's going on in your house?
Yeah, that is an entire neighborhood that's checked out.
Food and coffee and donuts from earlier that had receipts from earlier that day. From the ways it looks to me, it's somebody must have been here many nights just from the amount of stuff that was taken.
They stole valuable camera equipment and hard drives with his work on it, and that's not all.
Old house, a lot of copper pipes, so they just started ripping all the pipes out of the ground.
Again with the copper.
So you know they were doing meth inside the house too.
Well, of course.
Even more disturbing, after he called police, secured his house, and left, a neighbor heard someone trying to get in the middle of the night.
They're coming back.
Coming back for more, like Lay's potato chips.
Whoever was here tried to come back to what I guess they assumed was their place to stay for a little while and realized everything was locked up again.
Hey, if they were there for a few more days, the state of California won't even kick them out.
I'm surprised he didn't have to go to a judge.
He's grateful to friends.
Well, his luck was that when he got home, they weren't there.
But had he shown up and they were still living there, he would have had to go to a judge, correct?
I think it has to be 30 days, and I think they were there for a week. But you're getting close.
He's grateful to friends who started a GoFundMe to help him as he recovers from this unsettling experience.
I'm going to guess none of these friends live in your neighborhood because they would have given you a heads up.
Yeah, calling 911 is better than starting a GoFundMe page.
I'm at a loss for words. It's just great to be part of an artistic community that is there to support you. At the end of the day, it's just stuff, and I'm safe, but, would love to get as much of it back as I can.
Even the copper pipes. He'd love to get those back.
I don't think I could live in a house that had squatters in there before me.
No. You'll be constantly thinking about what they were doing and where they were doing it.
Nah, I'd have to move.
There were no alarms, no security cameras, but he says that's changing. Santa Monica police is investigating. And if you want to help, you can find that GoFundMe at KTLA.com. Sharon Micah will send it back to you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Can you send him $50 so he can go on Amazon and get a Ring doorbell so he would have known that someone was breaking into his house over and over and over again?
Or maybe you can just send him some Hilton honors points so he can stay somewhere that hasn't been defiled.
Depends which hotel.
That's true. And Randy, it's time to reopen the crime blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And this may be one of the first times that Fresno has made the blotter twice in one day.
Well, it won't be the last. But this story involves a stolen lottery vending machine that was dumped on the streets of Fresno County.
That's not suspicious.
You know, you walk into a grocery store and the first thing that you see next to that machine that'll duplicate a key is the big old vending machine with the big buttons for the scratchers. Someone tried to steal one of those.
I wonder if you just had random people just breaking into the machine, just taking all those Rams scratchers, and they have, I think, the Chargers and the 49ers, too.
Of course, what they don't realize is that even if you are a winner with one of those scratchers, they know the barcodes that are in those machines, and they're invalid.
Yeah, you're not getting anything.
For more, here's ABC 30 in the Central Valley.
At least 2 thieves are on the loose this afternoon after a stolen lottery machine was found dumped on the side of the road in Fresno County. Action News arrived in Kingsburg right around 7:30 this morning as police investigated the evidence. And you can see the orange metal box on the ground, pried open and damaged.
You know, there used to be a television show about dumb criminals. That show could go on forever.
You know, in Los Angeles County, they dump the stolen ATM machines off of that ravine onto the 118 freeway. But in Fresno, they just dump the stolen lottery machine right there on the side of the road. Good riddance. I didn't win anything. You know, it's very possible that those thieves, they broke into a scratcher machine. They ripped every single scratcher off. They scratched every single slot, and all they won was a ticket.
How great would it be, though, if the winner, the grand prize winner, was in that machine, and then these dummies were stupid enough to try to turn it in?
The Fresno County Sheriff's Office briefly took over the investigation.
Action News reporter Tiffany Olin did some digging to find out exactly where this machine came from. She joins us live at the Fresno County Sheriff's Office with what was also taken from inside that box. Tiffany.
We still do have plenty of questions around this machine, but we do know where it came from. The Sheriff's Office tells me that it was stolen from Delano, and that police department is now investigating.
Well, how hard could it be? It's going to be a 7-Eleven that has a hole in the wall the size of a Kia.
Those machines are not small. They're at least 6 feet tall.
A stolen lottery machine found cracked open with unscratched tickets near Carruthers and Bethel in Fresno County around 7 Tuesday morning. Authorities now searching for the suspects.
Suspicious activity at Carruthers and Bethel. There's a lottery machine on the side of the roadway. It's filled with tickets.
Wait, so they didn't even take the scratchers?
No, they just apparently left it there full.
What did they think? There was going to be a 20 in there from the gambling addict that actually puts $20 in one of those machines?
I don't think they got that either.
When you go up to one of those, how much do you put in?
Ooh, well, you know, that is my favorite happy hour activity.
Grab a drink, sit there, the game is on, and you just scratch away.
One day I'm going to be a big winner, Randy. One day.
The Sheriff's Office found the machine was taken from Delano.
I sure hope school children thank you for contributing so much to their education over the years.
Oh, yes. Every time I buy a scratcher, I know that a portion of that money is going to the schools to make sure that the next generation of Californians hates white people.
The Sheriff's Office found the machine was taken from Delano. Police in that city say the $20,000 machine was stolen from the state market on Cecil and Kensington just before 2 a.m. Tuesday. The California State Lottery added that...
Sure, I could steal the ATM that probably has $1,000, maybe $2,000 in it, or I could steal the lottery machine, and it could have the potential to have $250K in it. I might get on the big spin.
The California State Lottery added that no tickets were taken from the machine.
Even if they were, the lottery actually has a way of deactivating them remotely. I am confident the tickets that are recovered from the field there will be investigated for damage. If they've been compromised in any way, they aren't playable.
The state lottery says it typically sees more petty crimes, unlike this.
But it is pretty rare to hear of an entire lottery vending machine.
What are the petty crimes that are usually involved with the lotto?
Well, my guess is they're also involved with meth, so that means they're totally bonkers.
Taken outside the retail environment. It's heavy.
Investigators have not released how much money was stolen from the machine, but the state lottery says the thieves may be disappointed.
Those lottery machines carry a minimal amount of cash.
Delano police believe.
I bet you know what that sound is, Johnny.
Wait, play it again. That's scratching.
Someone's got a dedicated quarter.
Delano police believe multiple thieves are on the loose.
And Delano police tell me that business was damaged in this incident, and they say the thieves drove off in a white van, but did not give any further description on the suspects. Live in downtown Fresno, Tiffany Olin, ABC 30 Action News.
There you go. Nothing is sacred anymore. As jackass thieves in Delano steal a lotto machine, don't steal any of the scratchers that are in it, and dump it on the side of the road in Fresno.
Okay, here's what I don't understand. Whenever we do stories about, let's say, local politicians taking a bribe, one of the things that typically happens is they try to use things that have value that are hard to trace. Like when Mitch Englander got in trouble. Wasn't it poker chips at a casino that he was accused of taking?
Oh, yeah. That was the move.
Okay. And then when Bob Menendez, the senator from New Jersey, got in trouble, wasn't it bricks of gold that he was accused of accepting?
Yes, it was.
Okay. The one thing that bricks of gold and poker chips have in common is it's hard to trace them. There's no barcode. Poker chips, for heaven's sake, if you've ever been to a casino, one poker chip could change hands 9,000 times. You're playing blackjack. You win a hand. They give you a chip. You play another hand. You lose a hand. They take the chip. The guy next to you wins. They give your chip to him. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That poker chip goes all over the place. The IRS can't track it. The feds can't track it. There's no computer chip in the poker chip. And that's why they use those to bribe one another. Gold bars, that's real old school. You can move those around as long as you can lift them. But lottery tickets. If you scratch a lottery ticket and you're not sure if you won or lost, you know what you do? You scratch the barcode and you open up your handy-dandy California Lottery app, and then you scan it, and it tells you if it's a winner or a loser.
Well, you really do know a lot about this subject.
Every single one of those tickets is traceable. More so than cash. Of all of the things that exist in the world that you could steal, they chose the one thing that is the easiest to track. This is like stealing a car with LoJack. No wonder they left it on the side of the road.